All right, good day. This transmission has been titled Persistence of Vision. We are exploring the idea of the difference between insistence and persistence. Generally speaking, just to give an overview, insistence is usually something based on negative belief systems, fear-based belief systems, whereas persistence is the continued focus, continued willingness to act on your passion. It is more of a positive idea of sticking with something you know is true for you. Now, of course, we are not saying that you can't use the word insistence casually, but like every definition we have discussed, it's important to understand the difference between using something casually and knowing what is really meant by its use, or really falling into the habit of insisting on things which are not necessarily representative of your path. So we understand that when someone on your planet says, "Oh, please allow me to pay for this," and someone says, "Oh, no," and then the first person says, "Oh, I insist," we understand that that's not what we're discussing here. That's simply a casual use of the idea of, "Please allow me to do this favor for you. Please allow me to give you this gift." And that, in that context, is what "I insist" means. We are talking about the idea of forcing your will upon circumstances in a direction that may not necessarily be representative of your true vibration, of your true path, of your passion and excitement. So the idea of insistence, as we have said, is resistance, because you are not necessarily going with the flow that is created and generated by acting on your passion. It is something that your ego believes is necessary or wants to be necessary. And insisting on something is resistance because you are not necessarily allowing what really needs to happen to manifest in your life, but insisting that if certain things don't happen in a certain way, then something has gone wrong. It is a self-judging, self-depreciating, and self-invalidating idea to be insistent when allowing the flow to bring you what it is that's necessary at any given moment will create an ability to use synchronicity in a positive way, manifesting what it is you truly need at that moment to explore, understanding that the process is the point, that the journey is the destination, without focusing too much on the idea of a goal, a completion that you think is necessary. So insistence, resistance in that sense, because insistence is not allowing the flow of energy, the flow of high frequencies through your neurological system of your body. It is a tightening, a clamping down, a forcing of a situation which constricts your neurological net, your nervous system in your body, and doesn't allow for the free flow of energy that represents a more high frequency of your passion. And so as that resistance builds up, as more insistence is heaped upon your body, it creates breakdowns, stress, dis-ease, so on and so forth. So it's about relaxing your grip on what your ego thinks should happen and being willing to allow what really needs to happen to come from your higher mind to present you with what is necessary for you to consider, what is necessary for you to explore, what is necessary for you to investigate and respond to in a positive way in the next moment. And as we have said, even if what manifests next is something you objectively don't prefer, something that you recognize is simply not vibrationally compatible with your core frequency of who you are, it's still there for a reason. And if you allow yourself to know it's there for a reason, then you can relax and say, all right, show me what I need to know. You can use it in a positive way, You can ask, why is this here now? What do I have to learn from this situation, this circumstance, this manifestation that is clearly what I do not prefer? And as we have said, if nothing else, you can use what you don't prefer to clarify, by contrast, what you do prefer, which is a positive way to use something you don't prefer that's manifested. And as soon as you use it up and learn the lesson it brought you, then it will vanish because it has served its purpose. So the idea, again, is insisting that that is not something that belongs in your life, is an invalidation of the unfolding of your life, an invalidation of what is necessary for you to look at, invalidation of the lesson that's in that situation for you to move forward in your life, to grow as a soul, to allow yourself to open up to the idea that anything can be used to further your path if you stay in a positive state and allow it to flow naturally to you through synchronicity. Trusting what happens in front of you is the most important thing that needs to happen at that moment. And by acting on your passion and by being willing to stay in that positive state, then you automatically persist. Keep choosing in the direction of your passion, of your excitement, of your creativity, of your joy, of your love. Because that is built in to the idea of your passion. The idea is that passion does not require discipline per se, because the idea is that if you are really passionate and excited about doing something, then there is really no other choice for you. You will automatically choose that first above and beyond any other choice. And therefore the persistence, the willingness to continue to take action in that direction, in other words, comes automatically because there simply doesn't seem to be any other choice that makes sense, that's logical for you to pursue. So persistence is something that's built in, comes automatically with your passion, and insistence is something that you have to push against, something you have to force, something that your ego says should be what should happen, but your inner being knows is not necessarily what is true for you. And yet there is fear in that, fear that something won't happen, fear that your life will not unfold in the way that works for you. So learn to discern the difference. Learn the difference between true excitement and anxiety, because insistence is usually the product of anxiety, whereas excitement will automatically bring you the persistence you need to continue to act on your passion and your joy throughout your entire life. That is the fundamental difference between the two energies. We thank you for allowing us to share this with you this day. And in return for the gift you have given us, we ask you now, in what way may we be of service to you? You may begin with your dialogues and your questions if you wish.
Hello, Bashar. Thank you for taking my question. So I'm just asking for clarification on my understanding of something. You have said many times that you are Darryl, for example, 300 years in the future in another parallel reality, so to speak. And my question is, so 300 years in our counting is about 4 generations for us. And I'm very, very excited to know that in such a short amount of time that our civilization can be similar to what yours is now. But I just want to make sure I'm understanding that right. Because to me, it seems like 4 generations almost isn't enough time for us to get to such a place as your civilization. So I must be misunderstanding that, but I do just want to express that it is very exciting, obviously, if our educational and economic and all types of other systems, energy system can get to the place that is more in alignment with who we are. But if you could provide any clarification on that, I would be much appreciative. Thank you, Bashar. Ha'atu Aveo.
Well, first of all, the idea of the relationship in time between our civilization and your civilization has nothing to do with how quickly you may arrive where we are evolutionarily. We're simply making a comparison that you can understand. The first thing to understand is that our dimension, our parallel reality, is 10 times faster than yours. So the spread between us, in a sense, is really truly more like 3,000 years. Nevertheless, we have already said you'll probably be able to be somewhat similar to where we are in about 1,000 of your years, not 300. The idea is that you simply look at your timeline and our timeline in a way that makes it seem as if we are 300 years ahead. But again, experientially, we are more like 3,000 years ahead of you. But you'll catch up in about 1,000 years because you have the opportunity to use the information we're sharing with all of you and other information coming from other sources that can accelerate you greatly so that you don't necessarily have to spend 3,000 of your years catching up to where we are now. So about 1,000 years from now, you will be somewhat similar to where we are now.
Greetings.
Good day. Good day. Good day. What would you like to discuss with us this day?
I want to, first of all, to thank you for your perseverance to teach us and for provide us so many details and so many interesting things.
It is our passion and our pleasure to do so.
I want to ask you about some events in my childhood.
Yes.
I am remembering at least 3 situations when I felt that a part of me is starting to moving, let's say that, my mind at least with a different frequency, and I have such impression that anything around me is a little bit slower than me. I was very scared at that situation, but yeah, it's happened.
Yes. Well, many people, especially in their youth, will recognize that they may still be carrying a higher frequency from their time in spirit and may instinctively compare it to the slower frequency of the density of physical reality. It's a natural thing to notice that there is a difference between those two frequencies. You may maintain that through your life, and that's fine if you do. Just recognize all it's showing you is that there is a difference between the frequency of spirit and the frequency of physical reality, because physical reality is slower, is denser. So nothing to be concerned about. It's your ability to be able to walk in both worlds, to recognize your connection to spirit while at the same time exploring the concept of physical reality. Does that explain it to you?
Yes, thank you very much. I have another question. It is related to our, I think, everybody's path and want to trying to shift our reality and increase the consciousness. The main obstacle for me is fear. Yeah.
Fear of what?
That is the problem, that mentally I am open to do, I don't know, things to explore new areas.
All right. Well, emotionally, what are you afraid might happen if you do move forward?
I have no idea. When something it's happening new, let's say that I am starting to be very tensed, yeah, and I practically sometimes just lose this statement because this tension, yeah.
All right, but I don't believe that you don't know what it is. You have to do some self-investigation, and you have to be honest about what it is you're afraid will happen if you move forward on your passion. So get in touch with your emotions, get in touch with your heart, get in touch with the fear. It's there telling you that you have a belief system that's out of alignment with who you are. If you do honest self-investigation, you can find out what it is. But you have to ask yourself those questions and be willing to hear the answers. What are you afraid will happen if you move forward on your passion? Take some time, meditate on it. You'll discover what the fear is all about, but it's not true that you don't know. You're just not willing to hear it at this particular point.
All right. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And, another question, it's about Merkaba.
Yes.
I let's say that find out a lot of information. I tried something to do, but for me it's a little bit unclear. Let's say that if we are discussing about Merkaba, like about, let's say that, a vehicle, in some simplification, yeah. So
yeah.
How can I maintain it? How can I know if it is maintained? How often I have to, I don't know, do things to maintain this vehicle?
Well, you don't have to. Again, as we just said, we'll find out that when you're following your passion, the persistence or maintaining of something will come at a natural pace, but it doesn't have to be there all the time. You just have to know that you're connected to that vibrational energy. It doesn't mean you have to picture it all the time. The Merkaba is simply a three-dimensional version of the idea of as above, so below. The idea that everything in spirit exists first, and that whatever is in spirit can manifest, at least to some degree, in physical reality. That anything in physical reality exists first in spirit, as a form, as a template, that can solidify or crystallize in physical reality. So the Merkaba is simply a three-dimensional symbol, permission slip, that represents the idea of as above, so below. So if you know that, then you're connected to it. And it doesn't matter whether you're aware of that all the time, because you're focused on whatever it is that gives you passion. Just know that you're connected to it. It's as simple as that.
And I do not need, let's say that, to do, especially for this, some meditations or things.
It's up to you. It's up to you. The idea is what you're attracted to will work for you. If you're attracted to do meditations, then do them. If you're not, then don't. The idea is that, again, when you are willing to act on your passion, whatever permission slip you need to give yourself permission to be more of who you are will come in whatever form it needs to automatically through synchronicity. So you don't have to overthink this. You don't have to focus so much on the details. Just act on whatever you're excited to act on, because everything in physical reality is simply a permission slip that you use because you have a belief that says, if I do this, it will allow me to give myself permission to be more of who I am. So it's really up to you.
All right.
Make sense?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Bashar, thank you very much, and bless you, and thank you again for all of things that you are doing for us.
You are very welcome. Aveo.
Alleluia.
Yes, I, Bashar. What a joy and pleasure to be in contact with you right now. Quick question. I wanted to know if there's any correlation or relation between the Essassani race and the Essene community of Qumran that existed about 2,000 years ago of our earthly timeline. I look at the phonetics and the spelling of the name, and I wonder if there's some type of connection between the Essenes and the Essassani race. One thing I do know is that the Essenes did have communication with angelic beings, so to speak. So again, just wanted to know if there's a connection between the Essenes and Essassani. Give thanks, Bashar. Peace.
There is a very slight offshoot connection where the word and the energy got changed somewhat from very ancient times in the recognition of the Sasani race on your planet, giving their name to the Middle Eastern culture of that name, Sasani. So there is a slight connection, but not a major connection. It's more of the idea of a concept drifting into a different culture and being changed by certain assumptions and certain practices that existed at the time. So there is a slight connection, but even those using the word did not even recognize necessarily the connection to the more ancient culture that existed before it.
Hello, dear Bashar.
Good day. What would you like to discuss this day?
I have some question for you, please.
Yes, yes.
When you refer to yourself as Bashar, what are you still identified with? What's the process you do to pass beyond the identification with the limited self?
We understand that the word is connected to some degree to the channel's physical background, genetic background, and it was chosen because in that particular culture, the word means messenger, which is what we're doing. We're giving you messages. So it's not my name, it's simply referring to something that I'm doing, but it's a convenient thing to use for your reality, and it also gives the channel something to explore about his own background and connection to that particular culture.
Okay, and there is still a limited self that you are identified with?
Remember that we impose certain limitations upon our ability to communicate with you because those limitations are representative of making sure that we don't give you information that will intervene in your process. When I am in my own culture, my own civilization, I may no longer have those limitations. But we choose certain limitations in communicating with all of you so that we do not interfere with your process by giving you something we're not supposed to give you.
Wow. So it's like it sounds like you live in a state of bliss continuously.
Yes, thank you. Why not?
Wow.
We have no reason to choose otherwise.
Okay, okay. Is it possible for you to share this state of being with me?
We have shared it with you by giving you the formula. Act on your passion to the best you can. No insistence or assumption on the outcome. Stay in a positive state no matter what happens, and examine your beliefs and let go of your fear-based or negative beliefs that are no longer relevant for you. That's the formula that describes how to live in a high-frequency vibration that will allow your life to flow in bliss and synchronicity.
Okay, thank you. Another question, please. I feel I am a dot in a light grid work. And my
Yes.
question is how to use this intelligent light grid work for being in contact and communicate with my oversoul healers and other healers from the universe.
It is necessary for you, again, to follow the formula and allow whatever it is that needs to happen, whatever synchronistically needs to come to you as a relevant or important connection, to simply come automatically through synchronicity. But the best way to be allowing is to follow the formula because it raises your frequency to a level where the things you need can come to you more easily. That's why we give you the formula, because it works for anything and everything in your life that's important.
Okay.
We keep it simple. We don't overthink it. We don't overcomplicate it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Does that help you?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Anything else?
Yes. In my deep meditations, I arrive to a state of fear that I don't succeed to overcome.
Why would you give yourself that story? Is that story more real to you than the story of simply being yourself, which is the true measure of success? It's not about accomplishing a particular goal, remember? It's not about insisting that a particular thing needs to happen. You don't know what the ideal outcome is. So allowing your life to unfold naturally and automatically will bring you to whatever the ideal outcome is, even though it may, at the moment, be something you're not aware of. So, allowing yourself to let go of the fear because you insist that a certain thing must happen, or that something is wrong, or that you have failed or not succeeded, is exactly, in a sense, how you don't succeed. By worrying that you won't succeed, you don't succeed, because you don't need to worry about that. If you follow the formula, the things that you need in life will automatically come to you. That's how it works. You just need to understand that it's an automatic mechanism.
Okay.
Does this help you?
Partially. So
What is it you do not understand?
You know, here on Earth, we say that we have a very short time slot, so it will be good if we get enlightened. But I feel like
It's up to you. Remember that you're an eternal being, an infinite being. What's your hurry? What's your rush? You're already exploring the idea of expanding your consciousness, and the time that you have decided to have on Earth is exactly the perfect amount of time for whatever it is that was important to you to experience as a soul. So don't worry about the idea of the length of the time, because you pick the perfect amount of time. You will not leave before your time. You will not stay after your time, which you already determined from spirit. So it's the perfect amount of time for what it is you decided to explore. Yes?
yes.
So don't focus on that.
At the end, the goal of life is just experiencing and living with joy.
Yes, because that's going to teach you everything you wanted to learn as a soul. And then you will move on to something else to learn something new. But the amount of time that you chose is exactly the perfect amount of time for what it is you chose to explore. So don't feel that your time is short. The way you actually paradoxically feel like time is short is because you worry about time, because you're creating the illusion of time. So if you focus on the idea that time is short, that's what you will experience, even though it will still be the perfect amount of time. Maybe you wanted to explore the idea of being worried about the shortness of time. That may be one of the things you chose to think about, to explore, and let go of. So if you let go of that, you'll be using your time wisely, and it will be the perfect amount of time in which to explore these things. All right?
So, yes, with other words, is to stay in the present.
Absolutely, because then you experience the least amount of time and the most amount of time, paradoxically.
Yes, it's like when I'm very focused in this right now, it's like time is expanding
Yes.
very.
Yes, when you stay in the moment, you don't experience as much time, but from the point of view of everyone else, you actually live longer
Okay.
because you're not aging as much by not experiencing the passage of time as much by living in the present. Because the amount of time you feel like you experienced is the actual amount of time you've actually aged. So if you're focused on your passion and it feels like 15 minutes has gone by, and then you look up and you see that 2 hours have passed, that may be true for the rest of the world, but you've only aged 15 minutes. Because that's the amount of time you experienced. That's the amount of time you created in that moment. Only 15 minutes as opposed to 2 hours. That's what living in the present does for you. So it actually increases your lifespan, but at the same time, it collapses the amount of time you actually experience.
And it will be 15 minutes meaningful.
Yes, of course, absolutely, totally meaningful because you're focused on your passion, which is your truth.
Okay.
All right? Does that help you?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. It's like I coming back home from mind. It's going back to the heart
It is coming home.
and to the body.
It is coming home. It's not like coming home. It is coming home.
Wow.
So, good day and welcome home.
Thank you very much, Bashar.
Aveo.
Aveo.
Hi Bashar, it's Dami from Israel. I'm curious about the hybrid children, the teenage ones from 16 years old and above. Do they date between them like Earth kids? They have all their hormones and date each other. And the older ones, can the girls get pregnant? Do they start a family between them? Is it happening on the ships? Thank you.
They do not respond to the idea of hormones in the same way that Earth teenagers do. They do have them, but they're of a higher vibratory state. They can start families on the ships. More often than not, they do not. They will often wait until they arrive on Earth so that the starting of a family can blend in more with the way that Earth culture expresses itself in terms of its replication. They don't date in the same way that you do, but they simply recognize that connections exist, that agreements have been made on a higher level, and gravitate to each other based on their awareness of those connections. But it's a very different sensation, a very different experience than the way many Earth teenagers will gravitate to one another. Even though the reason they gravitate may be similar, the hybrid children are far more aware of the reasons for the agreements and what it is that they need to get out of them, rather than being quite so unconscious about it.